According to the Marion County Sheriff's Office, 58-year-old Susan Lorincz was arrested on charges of manslaughter, culpable negligence, battery, and assault. Lorincz is accused of fatally shooting Ajike AJ Owens, a mother of 4, through her closed door.
My daughter, my grandchildren's mother, was shot and killed with her 9-year-old son standing next to her.
The sheriff's office says it all stemmed from a dispute after Lorincz got upset over Owens' children playing in a nearby field.
Sounds like a neighborly thing that you can't really deal with. If there's children around, you have to get to yelling and screaming and then shooting. We talked about it the other day, but still now that suspect has now been arrested for the murder or killing of AJ Owens. Her name is Susan Lorincz. And the sheriff there was pointing out why it took so long. We did mention yesterday, of course, it's in Florida, so stand your ground reigns supreme before we even go after looking into the folks that pulled the trigger through a door. Because you know how stand your ground must work. Just shoot behind anything and you can claim it. Still, the sheriff talked about what went down and now what the situation is.
Now, many of you were struggling to understand why there was not an immediate arrest. Well, as I partially explained in the beginning, the laws here in the state of Florida are clear. Now, I may not like them. I may not agree with them. But however, those laws I will follow. Now, some of you have asked me about the Stand Your Ground law. Personally, I think it's a great law, designed to help Floridians to defend themselves and keep themselves safe. However, it does not apply in all situations. And this situation is a prime example of when it was not justified. It was simply a killing.
I don't know if you went into more details as to why this was different, because we've seen these types of situations happen before, and it seems somewhat similar, except for the closed door. And Stand Your Ground is a great law, according to him, because it allows Floridians to defend themselves and keep themselves safe. I thought that's what you can do under normal self-defense laws that are throughout the country. But this ratcheted up version, which also was promoted by many pundits and also other authority figures, pointed out and made people believe, yo, this is the way to go. So, I mean, this woman, Susan Lorincz, or whatever her name is, took the bait of what they told her to be about. Look at Trayvon Martin that happened, and people just brushed right over that and even congratulated the killer in that particular sense. So of course you're gonna find more of these folks doing it, and she should probably be pretty mad at the way that they sold the Stand Your Ground law to her. I guess it doesn't apply to her though. As we've seen before, in case you guys forgot a bit of the story, the kids were playing. This woman got upset, threw a roller skate, allegedly, of course, as well. His iPad had cracked it, and that's when AJ came over to confront her for abusing, yelling at, and potentially assaulting her children. Then it resulted in this. So who's the aggressor in this situation? Maybe they finally figured it out, Sharon.
I don't know if they have or they haven't, but I can see how she ended up here as a white woman living in Florida, a stand your ground state. It's shocking. It's shocking to her that she's actually in cuffs now. And it's a setup for the rest of us because it took this long for that to happen, which means the setup and the fix is in, because the smallest of victories, just the arrest, will be viewed by some as the whole game. And it's sad to me, really, because what the sheriff should have also pointed out is stand your ground does not apply to Black people. And we caution you, don't go to Florida and think that you can get away with this, because you can't. And this white woman, I predict, will probably escape the harshest penalties that she seems to deserve for this unwarranted level, this attack.
I like connecting things sometimes to go through. You talked about the warnings of potentially going to Florida. We saw the NAACP point out folks that aren't in Florida to have travel advisories based off of these laws that Ron DeSantis is pushing and passing. Limitation of education within the state, specifically directed at Black folks, because they just want people to know about the history of the country, things that are done, have been done, and continue to be done in different ways. So when that is an ignorance level from the top of the state, that's sprinkled among the rest of the citizenry, yeah, people like this woman who've now finally been arrested will see those black children and think that they're bigger or stronger or somehow more threatening than they could ever be, because that's the way she perceives them. And if you have to learn about how people always do that, because there's psychological studies about how people do that, because society tells people how to think, then maybe you'll understand that this ain't gonna work out for you. Yo, that's a 9-year-old kid. What do you really think they're gonna do to you? To where you have to pull out your gun, and then when their mother comes over to defend them, since we're talking about defensiveness, you go to shooting. And they feel like they've created this scenario where we can just protect all the folks who think like us. Well, some of those folks get caught up, as Susan, I believe her name is, I feel like I want to mess with her name, Lorincz has, and now I guess she feels a bit betrayed. Education leads to less violence. Not a lack of it leads to a lot more ignorance and a lot more violence, which they're promoting, of course, every time they turn their backs. Maybe at some point this can be something that goes on, but they're calling the NAACP's calls to avoid this state as dangerous and political and just putting it out there to make them look bad. This doesn't make you look bad. And the next one that happens tomorrow, we'll see.